If you're an INFJ, you've probably had fewer friends than most people, and you've definitely been called antisocial. But here's the brutal truth. You don't lose friends. You actively, and often ruthlessly, fire them. This isn't a flaw in your personality. It's a high-level psychological defense mechanism. It's the strategic decision of a deep-thinking brain to maintain its focus and preserve its most valuable resource, your energy. Today, we're breaking down the 3 psychological filters INFJs use to determine who stays in their life and why cutting those ties is the ultimate power move. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. The depth filter. Why surface-level connections get cut. The first filter that separates INFJs from 74% of the population is what I call the depth filter. Most people can engage in small talk without giving it a second thought. For an INFJ, shallow interactions aren't just boring. They're actually energy vampires that create psychological static. The reason this happens comes down to your cognitive function stack. Your dominant function, introverted intuition, is constantly processing patterns and deeper meanings. When someone approaches you with surface-level conversation about the weather or weekend plans, your brain is being forced to operate at a frequency that feels unnatural. It's like trying to run high-definition software on outdated hardware. Everything slows down and starts to glitch. Research shows that INFJs process social information fundamentally differently from the majority of people. While extroverts gain energy from social interactions, your brain treats every conversation as a complex data analysis project. You're not just hearing words, you're reading between the lines, picking up on emotional undertones, and trying to understand the deeper motivation behind what someone is saying. This is why networking events feel like psychological torture chambers for most INFJs. Everyone else is exchanging business cards and making connections, but you're standing there feeling like you're being asked to perform meaningless social theater. The energy drain from pretending to care about transactional relationships isn't just uncomfortable. It also interferes with your ability to think clearly for hours afterward. Here's what most people don't understand about the INFJ brain. You don't have unlimited social energy to waste on people who aren't bringing substance to the table. Every shallow interaction is taking away from your capacity to engage in the kind of deep, meaningful conversations that actually fuel you. It's not that you're antisocial. You're being strategically selective about where you invest your psychological resources. The moment an INFJ realizes that someone only operates on the surface level, they make a calculated decision. They start pulling back, not out of rudeness, but out of self-preservation. You're not losing friends. You're cutting ties with people who were never really friends in the first place. They were just people who expected you to participate in social rituals that felt hollow and draining. This is why quality over quantity isn't just a preference for INFJs. It's a survival strategy. Your brain literally cannot sustain multiple surface-level relationships without burning out. The depth filter isn't about being picky or demanding. It's about recognizing that your mental energy is finite and precious, and you're not willing to waste it on people who can't provide the authentic, meaningful connection you need. When you understand this about yourself, something powerful happens. You stop feeling guilty about having a small social circle. You stop apologizing for not wanting to grab drinks with coworkers or attend every social event you're invited to. You realize that your selective approach to friendships isn't a bug in your personality. It's a feature that protects your sanity and preserves your energy for the people and projects that actually matter to you. The authenticity filter. Detecting and eliminating fake energy. The second filter that INFJs use to curate their social circle is even more ruthless than the first. The authenticity filter. This is where your ability to read people becomes both a superpower and a social liability. The moment someone puts on a mask or operates with a hidden agenda, your brain flags them for immediate termination from your inner circle. Here's what happens in your mind when you encounter fake energy. Your intuitive function picks up on the disconnect between what someone is saying and what they're actually feeling before your conscious mind even processes it. You'll get this uncomfortable sensation that something is off, even when the person seems perfectly pleasant on the surface. That's your psychological radar detecting the gap between their authentic self and the performance they're putting on. Most people miss these subtle cues entirely. They take conversations at face value and assume that if someone is being polite and friendly, they're being genuine. But your INFJ brain is constantly running background scans, analyzing microexpressions, vocal tonality, and energy patterns. When someone is being inauthentic, it creates a kind of energetic discord that feels physically uncomfortable to you. The exhaustion that comes from being around fake people isn't just social fatigue, it's cognitive overload. Your brain is working overtime trying to reconcile the contradiction between what you're sensing and what you're being told. It's like listening to a song where the instruments are slightly out of tune. Technically, it might sound okay to most people, but to someone with a trained ear, it's painful to endure. This is why performance-based friendships feel toxic to the INFJ brain. When someone expects you to play a role or maintain a particular image around them, every interaction becomes an acting job. You're not just socializing, you're performing, and that performance requires enormous amounts of mental energy that you'd rather spend on authentic connection or meaningful work. INFJs have an almost supernatural ability to spot manipulation tactics that others miss entirely. You'll notice when someone is fishing for information, when they're trying to influence your opinion for their own benefit, or when they're using emotional manipulation to achieve their goals. The moment you detect these patterns, something shifts in your brain. The person goes from being a potential friend to being classified as a threat to your psychological well-being. The relief that comes from cutting ties with inauthentic people is immediate and profound. Suddenly, you're not walking on eggshells, trying to figure out what version of yourself they want you to be. You're not second-guessing every conversation or wondering about their ulterior motives. The mental space that was occupied by managing that fake relationship is suddenly freed up for more important things. This filter is actually a form of strategic protection against emotional manipulation and energy theft. When you refuse to engage with people who can't be genuine with you, you're setting a boundary that protects your psychological resources. You're saying that your energy is too valuable to waste on people who aren't willing to show up authentically in the relationship. The authenticity filter isn't about being judgmental or expecting perfection from people. Everyone has moments when they're not entirely genuine, and that's a regular part of human behavior. What triggers the INFJ alarm system is consistent patterns of inauthenticity. People who seem incapable of dropping their mask and connecting on a fundamental level. The future filter. Protecting long-term vision and goals. The third and most strategic filter that INFJs employ is what I refer to as the future filter. This is where your natural ability to think long-term becomes a powerful tool for social curation. INFJs operate with a clear vision of where they want to go in life, and anyone who consistently distracts from that mission gets classified as a liability rather than an asset. Your brain is constantly running calculations about how relationships fit into your larger life strategy. When you meet someone new or evaluate an existing friendship, you're not just thinking about whether you enjoy their company right now. You're assessing whether this person supports or sabotages your long-term growth and goals. This might sound cold or calculating, but it's actually a sign of psychological maturity. Most people drift through relationships without considering their cumulative impact on their life direction. They maintain friendships out of habit or social obligation, even when those relationships are pulling them away from their authentic path. INFJs, on the other hand, understand that your social circle is one of the most potent factors determining your future success and happiness. The strategic assessment happens almost automatically. You'll notice when someone consistently pulls you into drama that has nothing to do with your priorities. You'll recognize when a friend's negative mindset begins to affect your own optimism and motivation. You'll become aware of people who seem to need you to stay small so they feel better about their own lack of progress. This is where INFJs often face some of their most challenging yet necessary social decisions. You might have a friend who's been in your life for years, but if they're constantly discouraging your dreams or trying to keep you stuck in old patterns, your future filter will start sending warning signals. The loyalty you feel toward long-term friendships gets weighed against your commitment to your own growth and evolution. The calculated decision to distance yourself from people who pull you into their chaos isn't heartless. It's strategic self-preservation. Every hour you spend managing someone else's drama is an hour you're not investing in your own development, creativity, or meaningful work. INFJs understand this trade-off intuitively, which is why they're willing to sacrifice social approval to protect their life direction. Maintaining fewer connections creates space for deeper work and creativity. When you're not constantly managing an extensive social network or getting pulled into other people's problems, you have more mental bandwidth for the projects and pursuits that actually matter to you. This is the power move that most people don't understand. Choosing solitude over settling for mediocre company that drains your energy and distracts from your purpose. Your curated social circle isn't a sign of loneliness. It's evidence of psychological maturity and strategic thinking. Trust your social instincts when they tell you someone doesn't belong in your inner circle. Subscribe for more content on INFJ strategic thinking. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos, where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.